lot of work has gone in for the next 4 days that we'll be together. And this is sort of a combination of thing I've wanted to do for years but never had time. That's essentially necessary for us, moving forward, where we want to be. I'd like at first if we could do just some introductions real quickly. You've had time to sort of talk amongst each other, but I'd like people just to, sort of say your name and, where you're from and why you were interested in this project, and or even in African American history. So can we start, Dr. Johnson?
Certainly. Good afternoon. I'm Sandra Ford Johnson. I am originally from Chicago. Not used to this weather. But I'm very happy to be here. I live in Washington, D.C., and I'm very interested in the project. I think that our history just must be preserved, and I think it's the knowns that we have individually investigated that have a story to tell, but it's also the lesser knowns that have a very important story to tell. And I'm so happy to have met Julieanna and the rest of the crew here at HistoryMakers. I've had an opportunity to be here on a previous occasion. I've also had an opportunity to do a couple of interviews. So there are a lot of interesting avenues that are opening for all of us that are involved in the project. So happy to meet all of you, and we'll get to know each other as we go along.
I'm Amy Billingsley. I grew up in Chicago also, but I live in Washington, D.C. Have met Julie, I guess, about a year or so ago, and I'm just very pleased to see what we collectively can do to capture our history.
I'm Porter Versfelt. I'm a freelance TV producer and videographer based in Atlanta. I've been there about 9 years. Been television production, public TV, commercial TV, network news since 1978. And I've always been fascinated by history ever since I was a small child and started to read. And I think it's a great opportunity to do something, maybe leave a legacy. All the commercial work I've done over the years in the news and so forth, I never really thought it really fixed anything or helped much. It was exciting when I was younger, but after covering so many fires and murders and riots and wars, you begin to question what you're doing. So with all that in mind, that's why I'm here, because I'd like to use the skills I've developed, learn some new skills, and my love of history, and leave something behind.
I'm Clarissa Myrick-Harris, and I'm a historian, an oral historian. My area of expertise is African American and African world history in general, and I'm here because this is what I do. And it's a wonderful, wonderful project, and I'm inspired by all that the HistoryMakers and Julieanna have done over the last few years.
Hi everybody, I'm Racine Tucker Hamilton. I'm from Bowie, Maryland, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C. And like Sandra, I think it's very important for us to preserve our history. And my background is in journalism and public relations. And as a former reporter, I always believe that everybody has a story to tell. And like Porter, unfortunately, oftentimes in the news, we don't get an opportunity to tell those stories. And lastly, I am the mother of 2 sons, Mark 9 and Adam 7, and I think that it's important for them to have a resource or a reference to go to when they want to learn more about our history. So that's why I'm here, and I'm looking forward to learning more about the project and meeting all of you all as well. Thank you.
I'm Lynda Hamilton. We're actually not related.
And you're not the actress.
And I'm not the actor. I spell my name with a Y. But we used to work at the same restaurant where she was famous.
Wow.
And that was a nightmare. Even our manager, it was a nightmare. Paychecks, everything. Yeah. She's actually one of twins too, so that was awesome. Anyway, I'm from New York and I live in New York. And I have an 11-year-old daughter, and that's one of the reasons HistoryMakers inspires me as well. I think it's important for her to be in contact with what our history is and who she is. My family is quite mixed. We have a lot of Native American, African American, Irish, and Slavic. And it's really all over the place. And I think that's actually typical of our history as a whole. I work right now at City Parks Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization, and it's a beautiful mission. But I am interested in doing something that's more personal and meaningful.
I love history. I wanted to teach it, but I sort of got sidetracked and got into library work. So for me to come back to it, to be something that I love. This is one of my passions, specifically African Americans. And interesting background, I have Native American in me as well, and Louise. I'm also, we were talking about genealogy, and I also have an interest in pursuing that as well. So I'm here for many reasons.
I'm Edgar Carey Lane. I'm a videographer, cameraman.
It's much in the circles that it's feeling awkward.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
Right.
Presentation. Carrie, I know, don't.
Don't feel bad. Carrie, that's not it. It's not personal. Hold that thought, Carrie.
Don't worry, no, don't worry,
Okay.
don't worry. I'm gonna be
Okay.
moving around, so
Okay.
no problem.
You are.
Yeah, it works.
I may have been, I'm not sure.
There you are, Carrie.
I'm Edgar Carey Lane. I'm a videographer, photographer, an all-around student. I'm interested in HistoryMakers because I want to learn history. That's basically it. Short and sweet.
Carrie's a student at Howard.
Well, yeah, you know, Howard University.
I'm Jodi Merriday. I'm a native Atlantan. By training, I'm an Africologist and a sociologist. My doctoral area will be African American Studies. Clearly, my interest is because the people that I think HistoryMakers would be most interested in knowing in Atlanta are people that I think I was born and bred by. Atlanta's a relatively small and well-integrated community of African Americans, I think, who've done a lot to create a very sacred space for prosperity and opportunity. So I think that my initial interest was in the idea that finally I'd get to like really hear who these people were from a very interpersonal and intimate space. So I think that that's kind of my key line, you know, that brought me to learning more about HistoryMakers and the kind of work in which they were engaged. And I'm a professor at Spelman College.
Hi, I'm Matthew Hickey. I'm a videographer with the HistoryMakers. I've been with the HistoryMakers from the very beginning. May have even done the first interview, I'm not sure. But I'm a freelance videographer in general, and but I've, like I said, been with the HistoryMakers from the beginning. I think it's a wonderful project. It's very important. I only wish we could have done it maybe 50 years ago, 100 years ago. But the thing is, it's getting done now, and so that's still a very important thing historically. And for any interviewers, I could possibly be working with you wherever you live. So, nice to meet you.
Go, keep on. Yes.
Okay. My name is Reginnia Williams, and I'm a member of the faculty of the History Department at Cleveland State University. I met Julieanna at the annual meeting for the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. I was very happy to find out that she had this wonderful project going and that it was launched in the Midwest. Not quite like launching it in Cleveland, but Chicago is a close second, I guess, in my heart for the favorite cities that I would have to name. My mother has twin sisters here and then 3 other sisters, and so Chicago's sort of a second home for me, and I know that a lot of great history has been made here, especially in relation to African American history and culture with the music culture on the south side of Chicago. So I'm happy to be here. I hope that this will be the beginning of a very long and productive relationship with History Makers, and look forward to getting to know all of you better.
I'm Glenn Robertson, and I'm a native of San Francisco, and I still live there. And I'm adapting to your weather here. By profession, or what I'm paid to do at the University of California, Berkeley, I'm a computer specialist. And I became aware via a telephone call with Julieanna and Crystal about History Makers. And it really sparked an interest in me because I didn't realize that such a void existed. You see, so I think that what I really would like to do is to somewhat narrow that gap between the West Coast and Chicago, and whatever I can do to, facilitate that, I'm more than willing to do. And that's it.
I'm Loretta Henry. I've known Julie, we were little people together. And somebody else I was a little person, I found out. I'm an elementary school teacher. I teach computers. I love oral history. Every year my 3rd and 4th graders do oral history projects where every month they have to go and interview people in the family, and they put it together and we have a little book and we get done. And I really am really excited now because I've just finished, well, not finished. I've done the easy part of my family, of 8 families, my family and my husband's family, of genealogy. So now I'm going to do the hard part. But so I just love oral history and interviewing all my aunts and uncles and cousins, and it's just been so exciting. Learned so much. So that's why I love oral history. I really love it.
So how do you feel about oral history?
No, I have no idea.
Nicole, you want to introduce yourself?
Did we make it all?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've already said.
Yeah, she's
Oh, that's right. We're in the different
Yes.
arrangement then. My name's Nicole Hawks. I'm the project manager here at the History Makers. I've been here just under 2 years now. Involved in the growth, sort of a growth stage of an idea that had already tremendous momentum, but just continues to pick up momentum. So I'm pleased to meet you all. I probably have the least amount of involvement in the interview process, which you all will be involved with. I events and work as the liaison to our boards and advisory committees and scholar committees, and do a lot of planning and grant writing and things like that. So everything though is very integrated into making the project run. So everyone here has a fundraising role, and you'll learn more about that towards the end of the week, I think. And I'll be speaking more later, so I'll stop now.
Hi, I'm Ayana Haaruun. I'm the production / archival assistant here. I've been here 3 months now.
She's in dub hell.
I'm actually busy today, so I spent a lot of time sort of processing the interviews. So after the interview is done, of course that's not the end. There's a lot of work that comes after that. So that includes dubbing tapes and maintaining paper files as well. So that's my so now dubbing all of the interviews.
So enthusiastic.
She's been doing nothing but dubbing for 2 months.
Right. Many hours a day. Crystal?
I'm Crystal Foster. I'm the project director and scheduler. I'm the person who is the beginning of the whole interviewing process, so I'm pretty much the first person you'll speak with. I schedule the interviews and also I arrange the crews, and I'll talk about that later, as well as I do PR in the area, promoting different things such as our events, as well as our visits to these different areas and our progress. So, and I've been here for 4 years since the beginning. So.
I'm Edward Williams. I am one of the writers and I'm the webmaster. I've been here since September, and they really put it to me when I came on board. A lot of writing to do. And right now I'm busy working on we're redeveloping the website, and that's occupying most of my time, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy being here. I'm learning a lot.
And he's writing the newsletter.
Yes, also writing the newsletter.
Hello, I'm Lynda Forbes-Jones, and I get the title of Queen of all things, so. That's how you get food and all this other good stuff. Checks, all the good stuff, so, I get the pleasant jobs, but I'll be talking to you a little later on about how the checks are issued and what you need to do. If you don't make me happy, I won't get your check signed. Gets to be that basic. If I can't make her happy, she won't sign it. If you can't make me happy, oh well. So basically, I kind of do a little bit of everything. Julieanna and I have a history, which I love to tell. I used to be her roommate in college. So whatever she comes up with, I'm in Chicago, I'm doing this. Okay, I'll come help you. I'm in Chicago, I'm doing this. Okay. So we've been at this since she started in Chicago when she first came here. So whatever she starts, I'm around.
I'm Scott Stearns, Director of Production, been at the HistoryMakers 3 years. Was fortunate to come on board relatively early in the project, so I've been able to participate in many of the interviews that we've done both here and in other cities around the country. And being out on the road and coming in contact with the HistoryMakers is probably the best way to appreciate what the potential and the reality of the project is. And so in that instance, it speaks for itself. And those of you that haven't had a chance yet to get more familiar with, you're really in for a treat.
Larry.
Oh, I'm Larry Crowe. I interview people.
Oh, that's his favorite.
And I do a little research and writing, so I lift heavy objects. That's pretty much. I've been around for about two years. I gave them my whole bio on it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So they know all about it.
Okay, I don't Joan. She's in the wall.
Let me have her.
Did everyone do the timeline?
Well, we talked about it. I don't think anybody's interviewed.
That was going to be the project. It's too cold down there?
Well, it's cold.
Is it cold down there?
So we just came on up,
Oh, God. We may have to move everything up here.
I can move it up here.
It's coming through there now. If I take it over there.
My name is Joan Flintoff. I'm Julieanna's assistant, and this week I'm your assistant too. So I want to let you know that if you need anything, to please ask me. I'd be more than happy to help you in any way that I can. I'm pretty new to the staff, and I'm glad to see all of you here.
Okay. Let me, we have a lot of ground to cover over the next few days. We have a very mixed group. A lot of you I'm meeting for the first time, though I've talked to everyone over the phone. Some people, like Reginnia, who have been through the Columbia University's oral history program, or Dr. Harris, who actually is an oral historian and teaches oral history. So, and then other people who are newer to oral history as a discipline. So we are going to, each oral history project has its own thing, its own template, though there are standard things within the industry. And what I want you to come away from here with is a clear sense about how to message about us and what we are essentially about. Now, I'm going to go just a little bit into my background, because a lot of times people ask me, how did the HistoryMakers start? And, you know, I guess I find them curious, but, you know, mainly because I wanted to leave a legacy and, you know, make a difference. And, you know, you get to a point in your life where you're sort of in the legacy stage. And I was really at a crossroads, a personal and professional crossroads. And I say that, you know, in many ways, God brought me the project. I was attending, I had done oral histories as a young student at Brandeis. Basically, I was doing research for the Harlem Renaissance and Hughes, and, you know, was able to interview people like, he was the oldest living black actor at the time, and Butterfly McQueen. I was just looking at Gone with the Wind, and I was just so amazed because she had that voice, you know, and she
Is that normal? Is that her real voice?
That was her real voice.
Really? Wow.
And she was living in pretty impoverished conditions at the time, but at her height, she had made like $3,000 a week during the filming of Gone with the Wind. Yeah.
Still
good. It's long, too. I just saw it over, you know, Christmas holiday. But anyway, so I came at this really you know, those stories back then really had an impact on me. And my background's in theater. I used to do a lot of acting and directing. And, you know, I say my life is all about creativity and storytelling. So this is, you know, where I am at this point. And I was moved by sort of the stories. They had a profound impact on me. And I am from Pittsburgh. I was born there and then moved to Newark, Ohio, where we grew up. Or well, she was older than I was. But there was just my next door neighbor. So this is all, you know, sort of family coming together into an old family. But so anyway, I wanted to have a career in the professional theater and was not able to. Well, I didn't want to go not work. And so I decided that I wanted to represent artists, and I went from Brandeis, took a year off, and then ended up going to Harvard Law School and thought I would represent artists, and was very disappointed also because I couldn't get hired by a firm that would do entertainment work for black clients because, you know, blacks didn't do that at the time. So I ended up actually here in Chicago working for a firm I had worked with, who now is actually our law firm, Jenner & Block. But I came to work for them because they had recruited me here, and I really wanted to. I thought I had this vision that I would go to New York and represent artists and, you know, find my clients and do my thing. And they said that I could represent a black theater here, and that was all they needed to say. There was a woman named Val Gray Ward who ran Coomba Theater. That's actually how I first met Larry Crowe, and I became their attorney, and that was just heaven to me. And I spent a lot of time doing pro bono work for theaters and artists. I used to represent an artist named Paul Goodnight, who's better known now, but was not well known at the time, out of Boston. And so, and at that time, Chicago didn't really have a lot of people who were focusing on the coast, so, you know, there was not much of an entertainment practice here. I worked in the law firm I was at for a couple years, and really never really wanted to practice. And the city was getting ready to start cable franchising, and I got hired as the assistant cable administrator, and then became cable administrator for the city. And then politics had me out, and I started Home Shopping Channel, you know, which if I tell people now, you know, in the, you know, foundation, you know, academic, they're like, ah! So, bump along the way. Jewelry, baubles. But anyway. And infomercials, right. But I did that, and actually, that I got involved back in doing creative things from that because I've been in theater. Well, I didn't even know I had a struggling production company and I was managing. And we were on like 7 days a week, you know, and so I start tapping it back into my creative self. And I ran that went belly up. I lost all my money. And then TCI, who was the largest cable operator at the time, asked me to take over management of several of their local cable channels, which I did. And did that for 8 years, and then the city took them back. And that's brought me to my personal and professional crossroads. What was I going to do? I hadn't practiced law in a long time, and I didn't want to practice in the first place. And so I attended National Bar Association convention in Memphis. And Judge Leon Higginbotham was speaking, and it was the year that Clarence Thomas had been put on the court. And I went to hear, because it had been a very sort of, his appearance at the Bar Association was very contentious. And I sat in a session where there was Judge Constance Baker Motley and Reverend Billy Kyles, and I was just struck by the storytelling, and I was thinking that, well, people don't know these people, you know, who played as instrumental role as Martin Luther King, or, you know, at least supported him. And so the name came to me, and actually a friend of mine who has helped guide the project, her name is Catherine Lauderdale, and she's general counsel now for PBS, National PBS. She had been working on Channel 11's archives, and they had tossed a lot away of their product over the years, and they had never indexed it. And so she had been, you know, for months sort of telling me about the process. And so I came back and I said, Catherine, I've got what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a archive, a FLAC archive. And she's like, what? And she's like, that makes no sense. And that was generally the viewpoint, because I think people had questions about, you know, well, they asked me to answer, one, did an archive like the one that was envisioned, did it exist? And if it didn't exist and one was created, would anyone be interested? And then how would you make money at it anyway? I mean, there are all these, you know, very important questions. And so I would be very enthusiastic talking about it, and most people thought, oh God, she's lost her mind, and they'd sort of go on and walk away. But the name came to me in Memphis. The name, the HistoryMakers, came to me, and I came back very excited. And you know, I've often said all roads lead to this place here. You know, I've taken all my resources, whether it was my legal training or my home shopping experience, which I've learned a lot about not only production, but fulfillment, merchandising, and I've brought every resource to this project. And it says a lot. I mean, you can't be involved with this project here unless you're passionate about it. It's too much work. And I have to, you know, say that people who work with me, if they last, they work incredibly hard. But I'm really on a mission here, and it's a mission that I believe that is extremely important mission. Because the black experiences in this country, I really believe, is the last frontier. And we're dealing with a community and a larger community that I believe in some respects has not believed that it has a history. If it has one, it's not an important one. And that sort of reverberates around. And the opposite is really the case. You know, I've often really been amazed about the stories that you hear tell. And it's almost like there's been a mass conspiracy. And so that's what we're hoping to really change with the project. And for those of you who've come here, you know, I want to thank you once again, because I know you didn't have to do this. And it's not like anything is being offered, but, you know, the possibility. But it's important that there be a training protocol. I started out in Chicago really trying to do, test things out. Really, you know, first went to the historian community and asked them, you know, saying, you know, I want to do this, what do you think? They were like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. but the whole process of how you would sort of mount this and really what initiatives were going on around the country. We spent a lot of time in those early years, that actually the first summer in June of 1999 I started incorporating the name and trademarking it. And really doing a lot of research. There are binders, I think, in that room over there, or I think they're in here, where I had gotten some interns and we started, researching African American organizations, other archives, trying to really see what exists